Picture this. You're 18, you just tossed your high school graduation cap and you're at your college orientation. They slide a form across the table at you and boom, dozens of majors stare back at you. The form seems to sneer at you. What do you want to do for the rest of your life, my little pretty? You're not even old enough to buy beer, but sure, deciding your entire future right now seems legit. Choosing a major is tough. It's a choice that can affect your future in profound and sometimes irreversible ways. When I checked the catalog of a medium-sized college near me, I found 66 different majors. Sure, most of them give you a general idea of the subject that you're going to study, but it's hard to see what kind of job you're actually going to get with them. Like if someone suggests majoring in anthropology, what do you picture? Digging up ancient garbage dumps or living in a tent somewhere and pestering locals about their sex lives and eating habits? Who's hiring these people? And don't get me started on communications or what do you learn with that? Talking to people? Latin American and Caribbean studies? Sounds like a nice way to plan your next vacation. But on a serious note, picking a major is an almost impossible task. The link between your major and your life is going to be fuzzy at best, and it's almost useless to try and make a clear connection. At 18, you can't possibly know what majoring in any of these fields means for your future. The best you can do is try and put yourself in a position that will give you some kind of marketable advantage when you finish college. Now let's get some bad advice out of the way right now. Someone, somewhere, sometime, probably your high school guidance counselor, is going to ask you, what do you love? What are you passionate about? And then they're going to tell you that's what you should major in. Honestly, this is some of the worst advice anybody could possibly give you. I'm going to do a whole video on this terrible idea. Probably several, maybe many. But for now, I'm just going to list some of the reasons. Okay, so the fact is many people don't even have a passion. And some people have several passions. So if you can't even clearly identify what your passion is, how are you supposed to follow it? Also, passions change. Things that you find interesting, are passionate about, and convinced you could spend the rest of your life happily toiling away at are different when you're 8 than when you're 18 or 28 or 48 or 68. Also, sadly, passions are generally things no one wants to pay you for. So people following their passions for their work are often poor and overworked. If you're going to pick something that's guaranteed you can't afford braces for your kids, let alone a nice place to live, you better be really, really sure it's worth the pain. And speaking of money, money kills passion. People lose enthusiasm when their passions turn into obligations. Figuring out how to get somebody to pay you often turns out to be a bigger part of doing what you love than the actual doing what you love part. And if doing what you love is a prerequisite to eating, hunger can be a real party pooper. So how are you supposed to choose your major? In my opinion, it's a mistake to force you to choose a narrow field of study that's going to limit your life. In my perfect world, you would focus on building skills that are useful across many careers. Unfortunately, I don't make the rules, and the rules say you have to pick a major because, reasons. Writer Cal Newport talks about building what he calls career capital. It's an essential asset that can secure you a rewarding career with autonomy and respect. As Newport explains, career capital is comprised of rare and valuable skills, and college is a great opportunity to start building those skills. Just because you have to pick a particular major doesn't mean you can't design your college experience to give you a broad foundation of skills you'll actually find useful regardless of your eventual career. The trick? Don't pick what sounds interesting. Pick what sounds valuable. When picking classes, don't just ask, is this a requirement for my major? Does this class sound fun? Is the professor interesting? Are they an easy grader? What's their grade on Rate My Professor? Instead, ask yourself, what skill is this course going to build in me, and how can I use it later? Your goal is to pick classes that teach you rare and valuable skills. If you're picking classes just because they sound fun, it might be time for a gap, year or 2 or 5. If you want to take a fun class or 2, that's fine. Just don't make it your entire strategy. Another way a lot of people select classes, which I think is completely misguided, is to double down on the courses in their major. They think if they load up on coursework in their main subject area, it will somehow improve their job prospects. But sorry, no employer is ever going to pull your transcript to see what courses you took. Course requirements for majors are often only about 25 to 30% of your total course load. I'd recommend taking the minimum required and using the other 70 to 75% for skill building, and possibly supplementing with a truly useful minor to set you apart from the competition. Speaking of minors, if you're not majoring in something like engineering, computer science, or architecture, your workload might leave you enough time to pick up a minor that gives you some rare and valuable skills. Think of it like adding a side hustle to your education, except instead of selling candles on Etsy, you're learning something useful. Here's a secret. Although nobody plans on it or expects it from the beginning, most people change careers at least once in their lives. The broader the foundation of rare and valuable skills you bring to the table, the easier those transitions will be. College courses run the gamut from pure entertainment to borderline forced labor camp, and from absolutely essential to hopelessly irrelevant. Here are some courses worth considering to help you develop skills that are actually transferable across different jobs and industries. A semester or even 2 of the subject everyone loves to hate, statistics. Mark Twain's saying, "Lies, damn lies, and statistics," describes their persuasive power to mislead and deceive. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman argues that we humans are inherently and incredibly poor at statistical reasoning, and instead we rely on intuition, leading to predictable errors in judgment and decision making. Skill in statistical reasoning can inoculate you against the lies and damn lies of misleading statistics and the unconscious influence of many human biases. Statistics is a superpower, no matter how you look at it. Another course to consider is data analysis. Once you're a whiz in statistics, you should seriously consider at least 1 semester of data analysis if it's offered. It takes your statistical skills to the next level, where you can save the world or you can tell your own lies and damn lies. Written and oral communication skills are essential in almost every role you could conceive of after college. And it's shocking how rare these valuable skills are. Another area that has become very important is artificial intelligence. This has ascended my list of essential knowledge and skills from not even making the list just a few years ago to you're crazy if you don't learn everything you can about how it works, and more importantly, its likely impacts on you and society. And then there's economics. Microeconomics in particular, understanding supply and demand and how economic behavior impacts your life and business is just broadly useful regardless of what career you go into. And then there's critical thinking, the scientific method, cognitive biases, logic, decision making, etc. If this stuff was taught in high school, a lot of college majors would probably just disappear. Operations research, or OR, is an interdisciplinary field teaching analytical decision-making using modeling, statistics, algorithms, and knowledge of human behavior and organizational dynamics to solve complex, real-world problems. OR is a pretty OP skill to have. And to round out the list, here's a quick 4 more. Project management and time management. Who doesn't need more of this? Negotiation and conflict resolution. Just a part of life. Accounting, investing, personal finance, generally good skills to have, and technology. If tech is a mystery to you, you need to learn some tech. Okay, let's talk about majors. Since you have to pick a major anyway, I have two pieces of advice. First, put it in perspective. Remember, nobody knows what they're doing. Even those people that say they do. They're just winging it. Some people are just better at faking it until they make it. Second, getting your major right is less important than picking the right kind of major. Broadly speaking, there are three kinds of majors. High-value majors, these make you extremely valuable to future employers for specific jobs. Think computer science, certain engineering fields, nursing, accounting, etc. These fields are in high demand, and they're going to give you a clear path to a well-paying job. Translation, you're actually going to be able to afford to pay your rent. Then there's the medium value majors. A lot of majors fall into this category. These majors make you somewhat valuable to employers, and they at least demonstrate you as a serious person. You might have to work really hard to get that first job, but you'll probably end up with a reasonable career path, and you'll be able to pay your rent eventually. Then there's the low value majors. Having a degree in these majors can actually be a detriment to finding a professional level job. There's very little demand for people with these degrees, so you'll probably end up looking for a job outside your area of study, unless you're looking to get a job as a hunger striker. Not only you'll find yourself in competition with others that have more appropriate degrees for the job you're competing for, but your degree will mark you as somebody who didn't take their education seriously, and employers will be wary of that. Acting, art history, and any degree ending in studies comes to mind. Avoid these like the plague. You're going to spend 4 years in college. That's a long time. I get it. You don't want to spend 4 years on difficult, possibly uninteresting work. But remember, you're going to spend every day of the next 44 years dealing with the consequences of whatever choices you make during those 4 college years. And the last thing you want to do is graduate and realize you're qualified for nothing but a life of existential dread, student debt, and painting smiley faces onto lattes for finance bros. Okay, we're almost done, but I have an exercise for you. I know you don't want more work, but I think it's going to be worth it in the end. If you already have a major in mind, make a list of 5 entry-level jobs that your major would qualify you for. Look at the average starting salaries and the average 10-year post-graduation salaries for those 5 jobs. And then, whether you have a major or not, imagine your future in vivid detail, both when you graduate and 10 years down the line. Where will you be living? Who will you be living with? What kind of house do you have? What kind of stuff do you have? Car, phone, clothes, gadgets, gear? Do you like to travel? Do you like to eat out? How much will your living costs be? Rent, utilities, car, insurance, internet, cell phone, travel, Amazon account, etc. This is just a sample of the things you should be thinking about. Keep going. What will your life look like? And then ask yourself, based upon what you can make and what you're going to need to spend to support that life, is it sustainable in the long term? If the picture you've painted works, pat yourself on the back. You're on a great path. If not, something's got to change, either your plan or your expectations. Because unless you're into living on ramen noodles indefinitely, you're going to need a reality check. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like my content, it would really help if you could like the video, subscribe to the channel, and maybe leave a comment. It helps the YouTube algorithm, and it will help me grow the channel.